I like DOS. I've been using it now for almost 8 years. I've really gotten used to my DOS applications. Why should I take a chance on a new OS 2 and wait for OS 2 applications?
Windows is my world. I like the Windows environment. I've already invested a lot of money in Windows apps as well as in training. We can't just take any new operating system that comes along and lose that investment. That just wouldn't make sense.
My business is really growing. Everyone relies on our computers for a lot of things. I need something that's easy to use.
Perhaps you've been presented with challenges like these from your customers. Or maybe you've even wondered something similar yourself. In this videotape, you'll get answers to all of these questions and more. And when finished, you'll be convinced that OS 2 version 2 is just what your customers will want and need. No other product has ever been developed quite the way OS 2 was developed, right out in the open for customers to see. IBM worked closely with customers all along the way. IBM gave pre-release versions of the product to over 30,000 users worldwide to get constant feedback and evaluations. We wanted to know what our customers wanted out of an operating system. We found out and responded. That's why OS 2 version 2 is what it is today. An operating system for all reasons. A solution that truly meets the market's needs. After you finish this course, I'm sure you will agree that this powerful and exciting new operating system will provide you with an excellent opportunity to sell a total solution, as well as hardware and other new applications. This course will provide you with the techniques and insights you'll need to position and sell OS 2. We'll begin by focusing on 5 key benefits of using OS 2. In Lesson 1, we'll look at ease of use, compatibility, high performance, reliability, and productivity. Then in Lesson 2, we'll focus on selling OS 2 to a variety of customers, including DOS and Windows users. Throughout the course, you will be referring to the student workbook which accompanies this videotape. The workbook provides additional information and activities that will help develop your knowledge and skills in selling OS 2 version 2. Take a few moments now and turn in your workbook to the introduction. When you're finished reading, resume the video. I'd like you to meet Alan and Rob, 2 sales representatives like yourself. They'll help us learn how OS 2 version 2 can help customers maximize the potential of their computer and get the most out of an operating system. Let's listen in as they introduce you to OS 2.
Hey, Alan, is that the new OS 2?
Yeah, I've been using it for a while now. I really like it. How about you?
I don't know that much about it. I haven't even installed it on my system yet.
Don't know much about it. Didn't you take the OS 2 sales training?
No, I haven't had time. Besides, who's going to get excited about an operating system?
How about all your customers? I finished my sales training when OS 2 was first released. Since then, I've been selling more OS 2 licenses than I ever thought possible. I am a true believer.
Oh, yeah? Well, what do your customers think about the new OS 2?
Which ones? Everyone likes it, but each for a different reason. That's why I know it's going to be so popular. It's got something for everyone. DOS users, Windows users, OS 2 users.
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen much of it yet. I mean, with all the things I have to do, there aren't enough minutes in the day.
Well, you should take the time. Come on. Let me show you OS 2 right now. I can assure you, you're going to want to know about this.
Okay, twist my arm. I mean, if it sells as well as you say it does, I'm interested.
Great. Grab a chair. They're calling OS 2 version 2 the integrating platform.
Yeah, I've heard that. What's that all about?
Well, it allows you to use DOS applications, Windows apps, and OS 2 apps, just about everything out there for IBM and IBM compatibles.
So is OS 2 supposed to replace DOS and Windows?
Well, it's not necessarily a replacement. They can buy OS2 and not have to buy all new apps. Customers can use their DOS apps or Windows apps or OS2 apps, and that makes selling OS2 real easy. But if you had a customer who is purchasing a new computer and had to pick between operating systems, OS2 version 2 would be the obvious choice.
So it's a better alternative.
Yeah, for sure. 2.0 has the features of all the other operating systems built right in. Plus, it gives you greater compatibility and performance.
So this new OS2 is like having all three, DOS, Windows, and OS2 all wrapped into one package. That sounds great. I mean, that integrating platform for OS2 really sounds like something that my customers would be interested in.
Oh, they'll definitely be interested. It gives them such a wide choice of applications, and it enables them to squeeze every ounce of performance out of their hardware.
Oh, yeah? Now, how can they do that? My customers always want more performance.
Well, it's like this sports car. Those things have a speedometer that goes up to 140 miles an hour, but the law requires you drive at 65. Boy, I'd love to go 140. That's what I think of when I see a fast 386 or 486. They're like high-performance sports cars. But with DOS or Windows, you're forced to drive at 65. But with OS2, you can put the pedal to the metal.
Yeah. Wait, now what about hardware requirements? Do you have to have a 386 or 486 to use version 2?
Yeah, that's really what it's designed for. But for those 286 machines, you can still sell them OS2 1.3.
So OS2 is a family of products. That's great.
Why don't you let me show you around inside OS2 version 2?
Yeah, let's get in and look around.
Before looking at OS2, let's take a few moments to describe what you're going to see and what it will mean to your customers. One of the biggest benefits of OS2 version 2 is its ease of use. The best way to demonstrate how easy OS2 is to use is by showing your customers the OS2 Workplace Shell. That's the OS2 working environment. The Workplace Shell makes it very easy to open files, select applications, and navigate through the operating system. No more complicated commands to memorize. You use a mouse to just point and click. Another ease-of-use feature of OS2 is its ability to be customized to make it look the way you want it to. This will be very important to customers who are used to working with other operating systems. And with OS2, they have many extra benefits. To help users get started and to also answer any questions along the way, OS2 version 2 has an online tutorial and help screens. This should really appeal to your novice computer customers or any customer who is tired of thumbing through operating manuals. You'll want to show your customers many of the features you're about to see. In fact, instructions for conducting a demo have been included with the workbook. Now let's catch up with Alan and Rob and take a closer look at OS2.
Listen, I got a customer coming in here in a little while, so I may have to stop in the middle of this.
Oh, sure, I understand. That's fine. I mean, the customer always comes first. Why don't you just show me a few things before you have to leave?
Well, I tell my customers to think of OS2 like you think about your desk. With OS2, you get a desktop on your screen that contains visual objects, just like my desk right here. In fact, there's a video that shows it much better.
What video?
Working with OS2. Here, take a look. It's part of the video training available for OS2.
Video training for OS2?
Yeah, and I sell the training to my customers too. They found it to be very helpful.
The Workplace Shell is built around the model of a desktop. Things that you use in the office become part of your environment on the object-oriented desktop. Things like file folders, a letter that's placed inside a folder, or a reference manual. Practically any useful office tool can be represented on your screen as an icon or a small picture. This provides you with a visual way to tell your computer you want to perform tasks such as making notes in a notepad, tracking dates on a calendar, or adding numbers on a calculator. Time is represented by a picture of a system clock that keeps time no matter what else you're doing. And computer peripherals and hardware, such as your printer and disk drives, can also be represented and accessed by using icons. Each object is a visual representation of software or hardware used by you to accomplish your work.
I think that shows you what I mean about the OS2 workplace shell being just like your desktop.
Yeah, that really does explain it.
Here, let me show you the real thing. This is my OS2 desktop. Here's a file folder labeled Sales Reports. I can open the folder just by pointing and clicking. And there are my sales reports tucked inside the folder. I can also move anything anywhere on the screen if I want. If I want to move this Sales Reports window somewhere else, I just drag its title bar to a new position, then let go of the mouse button and drop it. You're seeing the beauty of OS2 version 2 firsthand. It makes using a PC easier than ever before. My first-time buyers are absolutely amazed when they see it. Here's another great feature to help users get acquainted with OS2. Just by selecting this information icon, a menu opens which includes a tutorial that explains all about OS2's features right there on the system. No more stacks of manuals. If I select tutorial, I'll get a choice of topics I can select individually. I can even run a tutorial right inside a window on the screen if I like, and use it to help me work with another OS2 application. Here's how I do that. I exit the tutorial and move over to the master index. It's a list of all the help topics available. I'll select master index and open it. And you can see we get a spiral-bound notebook. It's like having the reference manual built right in.
Hey, that's great. My customers should love getting help right there on the screen. How many items are in the index?
Thousands. Everything a user needs to know to get up and running with OS2 version 2.
Hey, that's great.
Oh, another feature I'm sure many of your customers will find helpful is OS2's ability to customize the look and feel of the desktop. Well, for example, if you like OS2 version 1.3, you can make the desktop look like 1.3. If you like Windows, you can make it look like Windows. If you like DOS, you can make it look like DOS. Customization is easy with OS2. I just select the System Setup icon and then the Color Palette icon. On the screen appears a palette of color choices. Let's say I just want to change the color of my desktop. All I do is select a color and then drag the paint roller and drop it somewhere on the desktop. The color instantly changes. And I can do the same thing with the font palette. If a user has a hard time reading the screen, they can select a larger font. Adobe Type Manager is built right into the operating system, which gives you hundreds of add-on font choices.
I get it. So if I have a DOS user who likes the DOS environment, or a Windows user who's stuck on Windows, they can use OS2 and get it to look like DOS or Windows.
Customization is one of the reasons I sell OS2 as an enhancement rather than a replacement. If a customer says, I like Windows, why should I want to change everything and use OS2? I can show them how to customize OS2 so they can work the way they're used to and get the benefits that are only available with OS2.
You know, that could be a good selling point for MIS directors and support managers who have to consider the cost of retraining.
Exactly. When I show a support manager OS2's online help and customization features, the cost of retraining is no longer an issue.
In addition to OS2 version 2's ease of use features, which are obvious benefits for your customers, another key benefit is OS2's unsurpassed compatibility. OS2 version 2 is indeed the integrating platform, seamlessly running DOS, Windows, and OS2 applications all together on the same desktop. Let's rejoin Alan and Rob and see a demonstration of OS2's compatibility in action.
So, I can see that OS2 is easy to use, but what about applications? Now, I know you said it could run DOS, Windows, and OS2 applications, but what do you have to do? Run some slow emulation program each time?
No way. Running a DOS app from OS2 is no different than running an OS2 app. A user just points and clicks at the icon representing the app they want to run. What I have here on the desktop are 3 applications, all running at the same time. Over here I have WordPerfect for Windows, and over here I have Lotus 123 for DOS. And down here I have a chess game, which is an OS2 application. I can select each one and position it in a window on the screen. If I go into the chess game, I'll begin a game where the computer will play itself. Now you can see we have an OS2 application running, a DOS app running, and a Windows app running all at the same time on the same desktop. Not only are they running at the same time, but I can share data between them. I'll go into Lotus 123 and select the Control Menu button. Then I'll select Mark. And I'll highlight the data I want to use in the word processor. Finally, I'll go back to the Control Menu button and select Copy to put the data in the OS2 clipboard. Then I'll move over and access WordPerfect, select where I want to paste the data from Lotus, then I'll select Edit, and then Paste. And there's the data from the spreadsheet. It's that easy.
You know, I'm starting to like this new OS2, but I bet it's really difficult to install. I mean, I'd like to put it on my machine so I can explore some more on my own.
Great. OS2 is very easy to install. It comes on 15 diskettes. You just insert the first diskette, turn on your PC, and follow the instructions on the screen. OS2 will tell you when to put in the next disk, and along the way it'll ask you to select the features you want. Excuse me.
Sure.
Hello? Yes? He's here. Great. Would you show him to the demo room? Good. Thank you. Rob, that small business customer I was telling you about's here. That's a great guy. I've worked with him before. He's coming by to talk about upgrading his PCs. Can we finish up with this after my meeting?
Sure. I really like what I've seen so far. I'm going to go install OS2 on my laptop while you're talking with him.
Great. Have fun.
When we join Alan and his customer in a few moments, you'll have a chance to see more of OS2, its high-performance capabilities, reliability, and productivity features. All of these will be important to your customers. Now take a moment and pause the tape and go to your workbook where you'll find more information on the OS2 family of products, along with the review of the usability features that make OS2 version 2 so user-friendly. Now that you've seen 2 of the 5 key benefits of using OS2, its ease of use and compatibility, in this module we'll focus on the remaining 3 benefits: high performance capability, reliability, and productivity. Now we'll join Alan and his small business customer as he is just finishing explaining the ease of use and compatibility benefits of OS2. Let's listen in as Alan describes and demonstrates 3 more key benefits of OS2.
So, you can see the ability to run DOS, Windows, and OS2 applications. It's why they're calling the new OS2 the integrating platform. It'll run all the applications you've got, Joe.
That's really impressive. All at the same time on the same screen. You know, we've been using mainly DOS apps in my business. We still have to keep using some of them that we rely on, but I'm very interested in upgrading. We need to be more productive.
Well, with OS2, in addition to being easy to use and compatible with your DOS apps, many 32-bit apps are now becoming available. That's something that Windows 3.1 can't give you. And we're also going to have a high-performance operating system that's more reliable and will help your business be more productive.
How's that?
Let me show you a few more features of OS2 version 2 and I'll explain.
Sure, go ahead.
Here I've got 4 apps. I'm running a macro in the word processor, scrolling around on the spreadsheet, and both the chess and solitaire games are playing themselves. All 4 are running concurrently. That's called multitasking. OS2's multitasking is much more reliable and efficient than any DOS-based product such as Windows. Thus, you get better performance with OS2 version 2 than you can with DOS or Windows. Another OS2 feature is multithreading. That takes multitasking one step further.
What's that?
It's a benefit available to you only in OS2 applications. For example, I've just pulled up an OS2 32-bit word processor called Describe. I could be typing along while the program is using pagination to determine page breaks, running online spell checking and grammar checking in the background, and I could be printing all at the same time. Rather than each of these sessions doing only one job with the computer processor at a time, they each have multiple threads using the processor concurrently, thus the term multithreading. This results in very high performance.
That's definitely more bang for the buck. Hey, I've been reading about these new 32-bit OS 2 apps. I hear they're really supposed to be a lot faster.
Oh yeah, they're much faster. Here, let me show you an example. These are two OS 2 applications. One is a new OS 2 32-bit application, and the other is an OS 2 16-bit application. The 32-bit app can utilize more memory and take advantage of the smaller 4K demand memory paging, making it run faster. In fact, in some comparison tests, OS 2 32-bit applications perform 40% faster than the 16-bit versions.
That's great. More, better, faster. I love it.
Yeah, but there's even more.
Oh, yeah?
OS 2 version 2 also manages memory much better than DOS or Windows. With 2.0, your DOS and Windows apps can access more memory than you could before, including an amount of virtual memory, usually only limited by your disk size.
All right, what is virtual memory?
That's where the operating system uses the disk space on your hard drive as if it were RAM, thus giving your computer as much RAM memory as you have hard drive space. The bigger the drive, the more memory you can have to play with.
So, the bigger my business grows and the more computing power we need with OS 2 version 2, we can handle the workload.
Exactly. You'll have higher performance now, and you'll be better prepared for the future.
I get it. With OS 2 version 2, I'm going to get more for my money, more for my time, and more from my computer.
Joe, you must be in sales.
How can you not be and run a small business?
True. Very true. But listen, Joe, there's even more. I haven't even mentioned reliability. Having a small business at all, you can't afford having your computer crash on you, losing all your work. OS 2 version 2 is a more reliable operating system than DOS or Windows.
It's starting to sound like a sales pitch to me, Alan.
No, I'm really very serious. It's true. Remember I told you that OS 2 version 2 helped tap the true potential of your hardware?
Yes, I recall that.
Okay. Well, one of the features built into 386 and 486 processors is something called Virtual Protect Mode. When you're running multiple DOS or Windows apps at the same time, with OS 2 version 2, each can run in its own virtual DOS machine. It's like having lots of little computers all separated from each other.
Now, what good is that?
It's the way OS 2 protects the apps from each other that's interesting. Running your 386 or 486 in Virtual Protect mode finally harnesses the power of the hardware design. And the way OS 2 has implemented this protection is an important improvement over the Protect mode you get with DOS or Windows. With Protect mode, all the apps share the same memory. If something bad happens and one app crashes and can't yield to another app or to DOS or Windows, you're stuck. You have to reboot and start all over. And you've lost all your work if you haven't saved recently. But with OS 2 version 2's use of Virtual Protect mode, if one app crashes, it won't crash the whole system. The rest of your apps are protected, each running in their own virtual DOS machine. Here, let me show you an example. Here on my desktop, you can see that I've got the OS 2 32-bit Describe Word Processor, the OS 2 chess game, and this demonstration app called Crash App. You can see that we're multitasking with the chess game playing itself as I access the Crash App. This is a special demonstration app which is designed to crash on purpose. I'll cause it to crash and you can see that the screen locks up. With memory protection like you'd have with Windows, we'd probably be forced to reboot. But with OS 2, I just hit a special key combination on the keyboard and OS 2 puts the Crash app away. As you can see, the chess game is still playing itself. The system is running just fine.
I've had that happen to me before. That's how I learned the importance of saving my work. You know, it's funny how apps always pick the worst times to crash.
It's also funny how people have gotten used to apps that crash and having to reboot their system. But that's all going to be different. With OS2 version 2, you'll forget about those bad old days.
Is the main reason for this the difference between Protect Mode and OS2's Virtual Protect Mode?
Yeah, that's right.
I can see a lot of benefits in OS2 for my business. You know, earlier you mentioned it would help us be more productive. Boy, my employees hate that word. Everyone thinks they're working as hard as they can. How can OS2 help us be more productive without having everyone work harder?
That's just it. The beauty of OS2 is that your people won't be working harder. They'll be working smarter. They'll get more out of their hardware, and they won't have all those reliability problems that can slow you down. And here are a number of other productivity features. For example, improved performance of your DOS and Windows apps when they run under OS2, and access to more memory. The sharing of information between different apps from different operating systems, like you saw earlier. And if you ever get the urge to develop your own applications, OS2 version 2 has an improved development environment. There's also dynamic data exchange and...
Whoa. What's that? Dynamic data exchange?
Well, it's similar to cutting and pasting between two applications, but you establish a continuous link instead. Here, let me show you. I've got two applications loaded, Lotus 123G and Describe. I'll access Lotus 123 and select Graph from the action bar and then View. And a graph of the spreadsheet is displayed. Now, I'll select Edit from the action bar, and from the pop-up menu which follows, I'll choose Copy. So now I have a copy of the graph in the OS2 clipboard. Now I'll find a place in the Describe document to paste the chart which is in the OS2 clipboard. I'll select Edit from the Describe action bar, and from the pop-up menu, I'll select Link. I then select Paste Link in the pop-up menu, and the graph appears in the Describe document. What I've actually done is create a hot link between these two applications. Now if I want to change something on the spreadsheet which affects the graph here, the graph in the word processor automatically changes too. That's dynamic data exchange in a nutshell. By linking data between several different apps, you can see how this feature could improve productivity.
How about working with a network? You know, we want to install a LAN. Can OS2 handle that?
Sure, that's no problem at all. OS2 LAN server is one of the members of the OS2 family. It's a very easy way to network your PCs. With the LAN aware shell, LAN resources such as programs and files are represented by icons on your OS2 desktop. And you work with those icons just like you work with the files and programs that reside on your own system.
That sounds very interesting.
Another thing you may be interested in is OS2's high-performance file system. This lets you conveniently save your data using larger file names, and you can access larger amounts of mass storage more efficiently than you can with the FAT file system used by DOS and Windows.
Now, how much storage capacity are we talking about?
It's almost limitless. I mean, today with OS2 version 2, you can access multiple gigabyte drives. That's thousands of megabytes. And OS2 will be there for you when the storage technology improves beyond that.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is all very, very interesting, and I believe it's just what our business needs. We need to upgrade our current 286 equipment to 486 PCs. And we need that LAN I've been talking about, and we need OS2 version 2.
I believe you've made a very wise decision, one that'll dramatically help your business. What I think we should do is meet back at your office. I'll bring my engineer along, and we'll go over the details for your LAN.
Sounds like a good plan. Tell you what, why don't you give me a call on Monday and we'll set up a time.
Great.
So as you can see, OS2 version 2 is more than just an operating system. It's also a tool to help you make other sales. In Lesson 1, we looked at all 5 of the main benefits of using OS2. Its ease of use and compatibility, high performance capability, reliability, and productivity. In your workbook, you'll find more details on these benefits, along with how OS2 meets specific customer needs.
Hey, I heard you made a really big land sale. Way to go.
I couldn't have done it without this OS2 version 2.
I know what you mean. While you were working with him, I installed the OS2 version 2 on my laptop. I've been fooling around with it, exploring the system. It's really fascinating. Thanks for your help.
Hey, no problem. Where are you blasting off to?
Well, first, I'm going to go get that videotape training because I've got some customers who are going to really love this new OS2. Oh, by the way, buddy, you wouldn't by any chance happen to have an extra OS2 lapel pin, would you?
Yes.
Thanks.
In this lesson, we're going to focus on how to sell OS2 version 2 to DOS and Windows users. Both have some very specific needs. Not only will you have to address the capabilities and limitations of DOS and Windows that these users deal with every day, you'll also have to keep in mind their personal loyalties. You'll be asking them to switch operating systems, which is something many of them haven't done before. Let's look in on Rob, who is showing OS2 version 2 to a DOS user right now. He has completed his OS2 sales training, and he's out making sales calls. Rob has just finished demonstrating and explaining the 5 key benefits of using OS2, and is now ready to concentrate on what it can do for DOS users. Let's listen in.
Hey, those are just some of the high points about OS2 version 2. From what you've seen so far, Dick, do you have any questions?
Well, I can see that it runs these apps that you've shown me. But I mean, DOS can run most of those too, and I'm not much of a chess player. So what's the point? And there's really just a handful of applications you can run with OS2, right?
No. That's why everybody is calling OS2 version 2 the integrating platform, because it can run so many different types of applications from different operating systems. I mean, it will be able to run virtually all of your DOS apps, Windows apps, over 2,500 OS2 16-bit apps, and there are hundreds of new OS2 32-bit apps being released as we speak. That's over 24,000 apps in all.
I see. That's a big plus. I didn't realize that OS2 could handle that much. But there's something else, too.
Like what?
Well, when it gets right down to it, I like DOS. And as far as I know, everyone in my department likes it, too. We've gotten used to DOS, and besides, I've got a big investment in DOS apps and DOS training. I can't waste all that investment, so why should we switch to OS2 and have to learn a new operating system?
Well, switching doesn't mean that you're going to have to trash all your apps and all that training. That's the beauty of OS2. It lets you work the way you want to. You'll still be able to use all your DOS apps, so your investment in DOS will still be protected. But if you don't have OS2, you're going to miss out on all the special benefits.
Well, like what? And what are we talking about here?
Oh, like the ability to run all DOS versions, greater system reliability, access to more memory. Oh, there are a lot of things. Why don't you let me show you what I'm talking about on my laptop?
Sure, go ahead.
What I've got here are 3 different DOS apps. Here I have an old spreadsheet, which was written back when DOS 3 was out. And here I have a word processor developed under DOS 4. And over here I have an editor for DOS 5. Each DOS app is running in a window, and I can move those windows around or resize them. Each time I access one, the mouse is active in that window. Remember what I told you earlier about the multiple virtual DOS machines? That's what we've got going on right here. Each of these apps is running in its own virtual DOS machine and is protected from the other apps. That way, if one goes down, it's not going to affect the others.
That's interesting. 3 different DOS apps from different versions of DOS all running at the same time and protected from each other. Protected. That's very interesting.
OS2 could run up to 240 different DOS sessions at the same time if you wanted. However, most hardware is going to limit you to a lot less than that. I don't know about you, but that's a bunch more than I would ever need.
What about memory? Are those apps all sharing the same real memory?
Each multiple virtual DOS machine has access to its own real memory, depending on how much RAM you have. In fact, with OS2 version 2, you can access 633K of real memory and over 48 meg more with memory extenders.
Well, that's definitely giving us access to more memory than we have now. That would really come in handy.
Let me also show you the increased performance your DOS apps are going to have with OS2 version 2.
Like what?
Like enhanced cut and paste.
What's so new about cut and paste?
Here, let me show you. I'll show you how to cut and paste between all kinds of apps from different operating systems. Let's say I'm working on a report using the word processor. And to finish the report, I need some numbers from the spreadsheet and an illustration from the graphics program. First, I'll go into the Lotus 123 spreadsheet and I'll select some of the numbers that I need for the report. I'll select Mark and then highlight the data I want. Then I'll select Copy. So, I've copied that data from the spreadsheet into the OS2 clipboard. Then I'll access the described word processing program and my report file. I'll find the place in the report that calls for the spreadsheet data, and I'll click on the right spot. Then I'll select Edit, and then Paste to put the spreadsheet data into place. There, you can see that the spreadsheet data has appeared in the report. But we also need an illustration in order to complete this report. So, I'll move from the Describe program over to the Graphics program. Here in the Graphics program, you can see the illustration we need is already loaded. I'll just select the graphic, and then I'll copy that illustration from the Graphics program into the OS2 clipboard, just like we did with the spreadsheet data. Once it is copied, I'll move back to the Describe program and to the report file. I'll find the place in the report where I need that illustration, and I'll mark the spot and then paste the illustration there from the clipboard. And now the illustration is in the report. We've shared information between 3 different applications, each one running under a different operating system. Remember, these applications weren't even specially written to support cut and paste. You just can't do that with DOS. These are just some of the extra benefits you'll get when you use your DOS apps with OS2 version 2. You can run multiple DOS versions in separate sessions at the same time. You can cut and paste between different apps from different operating systems. You can get things like print spooling for all DOS versions. I mean, so much more. But you can only do this if you have OS2 version 2.
So what you're saying is that we can still use our DOS apps, but we'll also be able to do all these extra things that we can't do now. You know, I can see some advantages for us in using OS2.
One other thing I want you to consider. OS2 version 2 is easier to use than DOS. Remember the online help and tutorial I showed you earlier?
Yes.
Now there's even training on videotape available from IBM. That way when your new employees come on...
Wait a minute. New employees?
Well, whenever you bring someone new on board, you'll still be able to train them using the same DOS apps that you do now, except that it'll be much, much easier. There won't be any more command prompts or complex commands to type in when you're doing a simple task like formatting a disk or copying files and so forth. I mean, as you know, those kinds of system-level activities can be real complicated when you use DOS. Here, let me show you how OS2 handles those sorts of things. What I'm doing here is selecting the system icon and opening the system folder. Inside the system folder, there's an icon for the disk drives. I'll double-click on the drives icon, and this will open up another folder which shows my drives. Back over here on my desktop, I've got a data file for a report I'm working on. If I wanted to copy that file over onto my floppy disk, I just select the file and drag it over to the A drive and drop it. It's then automatically copied onto the A drive. Compare that with what it takes to copy a file with DOS. And when it comes to formatting, I just select Drive A, and you'll see a pop-up menu appear that gives me several choices. If I want to format a blank disk, I select Format, and I then type in a volume label to name the disk. Then I just select Format, and a pop-up menu appears showing me the formatting progress. It's that simple. Think about what's involved in teaching a new employee how to format a 1.44 meg diskette using just DOS. Let's see, they'd have to type in format space A, :T, :80 space, \N, :9. And that would give them 9 sectors with 80 tracks, so they would have a formatted 1.44 meg disk.
Yeah, this will be much easier. Listen, there's something else that I've been wanting to ask you. Now, I know that OS2 is from IBM, and you also sell IBM PS2s. Now, no offense, but some of our people are using IBM hardware and some are not. I heard that OS2...
Well, obviously I'd love to be able to sell you some new IBM PS2s, but to be honest, OS2 version 2 is not proprietary. It's designed to run on most 386 and 486 based systems, IBM's and IBM compatibles.
What about memory? Doesn't OS2 version 2 take up a lot of memory?
Well, it depends on the options you want to install. However, typically OS2 version 2 needs between 6 and 8 meg to run and from 15 to 30 meg on a hard drive. But just like Windows, the more RAM available for applications, the better the apps will perform.
That sounds like a lot. Some of our older PCs don't have that much room.
Well, I know what you mean. When you think back to the old 8086 days when 256K was huge. But the trend now and in the future is toward bigger, faster machines. Most 386s and 486s now are sold with an average of 4 meg of RAM, at least an 80 meg hard drive, and at a very low price. Realistically, you're probably going to be replacing those older PCs someday soon anyway, right? And when you do, I'm the man to talk to. OS2 is designed for the present and the future. And you want to be prepared for the future, don't you?
You know, you're right. We've been talking about upgrading those older PCs now for a while, and I don't know why it's taken so long. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and get this new OS2 for my department now. And if my people like it, I'll recommend it to the rest of the company. Then let me get a few people from my department together and let's get an appointment and talk about upgrading our computers. You don't mind coming back, do you?
No problem.
Once again, you've seen OS2 version 2 can be the key to solution selling. Rob easily convinced a staunch DOS user of the benefits of OS2. It offers greater compatibility, reliability, and functionality than just DOS alone. To learn more about the advantages of OS2 over DOS, take a moment and pause the tape and refer to your workbook. In this next module, let's take a look at another important group of potential customers for OS2 version 2, Windows users. Of all the customers you're likely to approach with OS2, Windows users will probably be the most challenging. However, there are many benefits for Windows users who switch to OS2. In addition to the benefits the DOS users gain, OS2 version 2 is compatible with both Windows version 2 and version 3. Windows users will have access to more memory with OS2 version 2 than they have with Windows. And with the ability to run 32-bit applications, OS2 is far superior. Alan is visiting with a Windows user right now. His customer isn't quite convinced that OS2 is for her. Let's listen in and see how Alan handles this situation and how he positions OS2 version 2 against Windows in order to make a sale.
Well, that's all very good, but listen, I'm sold on Windows. I really like it. And from what I can tell, this OS2 looks and acts a lot like Windows. In fact, it looks like the same thing. None of us are computer experts. We have a magazine to publish, and we're either writing copy or working on graphics. I'm responsible for all these people, and they're sold on Windows. Everything's working out just fine as it is, so I really think you're wasting your time. Why should we learn another operating system?
Well, I know what you mean. I'm not knocking Windows. I've used Windows in the past, but I wouldn't be here if I didn't think OS2 2.0 wasn't a better alternative. After seeing the real power of this OS2 and what it can do for customers like you, I'm convinced that OS2 is better.
Well, to be really honest with you, I'm not so sure. Personally, I can't see any reason to put something so similar to Windows on my computer.
Well, let me tell you why I'm using OS2 myself. Maybe that'll help. I can still use all my apps and do everything I was doing in the past, but now I can do it better. I have so many extra features and benefits. Here, let me show you. Here's something you can't do in Windows. I'm running a screensaver app which was written for the earlier version of Windows 2. And over here, I'm running another graphics app which requires Windows 3. If I wasn't running OS 2 version 2 and I wanted to switch back and forth between these two apps, I'd have to end one Windows session and take the time to exit and restart another version of Windows. But here I can run two apps needing different Windows versions at the same time. And now I can cut and paste and share data or graphics between these two apps, and I couldn't do that before. So in a way, OS 2 has helped me protect any investment I had in applications for earlier versions of Windows.
Oh, we have a few of those around here. I took most of them off my hard drive because it was such a hassle.
You probably ended up buying new versions or upgrading if the upgrade was available, right?
In some cases, yes. But for example, I've got this one app that uses Windows 2.1, and I'd still like to use that if it wasn't such a problem.
That's the thing about OS 2 version 2. It was developed with these kinds of problems in mind. You can still use your Windows apps, but you have all this extra functionality and compatibility.
All right. That sounds good, but what else would I get?
Well, the access to more memory is one thing. You do a lot of work with large graphics files, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, some of them are very large.
Well, with Windows you're limited to 16 meg of RAM in your PC, and virtual memory is limited to 4 times your RAM. How much RAM do you have?
I've got 4 meg in my 386. I'd like to have more, though. I'd like to have 8.
How's your system perform now?
Well, I've had some problems when I run files that are too big or run too many apps. It takes forever. I think I run out of memory.
For your applications, you might want to consider upgrading to a 486. Probably 33 megahertz with at least 8 meg to 12 meg.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I've been looking at ads for those in the paper.
Even with what you have now as a processor, your memory would only be limited by the space available on your hard disk. With OS 2, you see, each app can access up to 512 meg of virtual memory.
That's a lot. Yeah, but you know, my apps are slow now. I bet with all that, they'd be slower than snails.
You'd be surprised. With OS 2 version 2, we have a whole new world of 32-bit applications available. And that's very important in a graphics environment like yours. Here, take a look at this graphical 32-bit word processor I've got. This is Describe. We saw part of it earlier. Let's say I want to copy this graphic and put it in another document. You know that takes a long time to do now. So take a look at this. First, I'll go to the graphic and select it. I'll go to the action bar and select Copy, and it copies the graphic to the clipboard. So now there are 2 graphics in memory, the one in the document and the one in the OS 2 clipboard. Now I'll go to the new document where I want to paste the graphic. Then I'll select Edit, and then paste from the action bar. And voila, it's that fast. And now I've got 3 graphics in memory, 2 on the screen, and 1 still in the clipboard. These new 32-bit applications would give you so much more performance out of both your software and your computer, but you'll need OS 2 version 2 in order to run them.
But Alan, this OS 2 and Windows, they still look so much alike to me.
Looks can be deceiving. The real difference is the fact that OS 2 is an operating system, and Windows is not. Windows must have DOS in order to function, and therefore it's limited in many ways by DOS. But with OS 2, you get a totally new modern operating system for today's powerful computers. And if you like the look and feel of Windows, that's no problem. OS 2 version 2 lets you work the way you want to. You can customize the desktop any way you want, and you can save it that way.
What do you mean? You can make it look like Windows?
Yeah. Here, let me show you. This folder called Desktops is where I keep various desktops that I've saved. I'll open it up and show you some of them. Inside you can see I have a desktop for Windows, one for OS 2 1.3, and then some specialized ones, such as the Office desktop and the Manager's desktop. I'm opening up the Windows desktop now. Now that looks familiar, doesn't it? Looks like Windows. And this is where I keep all my Windows applications. So really the point is that you can work the way you want to, and you can use those powerful 32-bit applications, which will definitely come in handy with your graphics work for the magazine, and you'll be more productive with OS 2 version 2.
Well, I think I'm very productive with Windows right now. So how's OS 2 going to make me any more productive?
Well, besides having better compatibility and access to 32-bit apps and access to more memory, one of the biggest pluses for me is the preemptive multitasking. That gives me a more productive system.
Multitasking? I can multitask with Windows. I do it all the time.
But there's a difference. Did you know that Windows has what's called cooperative multitasking? That means that you can have several apps on your screen, but each one has to take turns to use the central processor, the computer. Each app has to yield to another app, and those yields are written into each app by the programmers. That's why as one app takes over the machine, it can't be interrupted to yield to another app. Or if an app crashes, it may never return control to the system. You have to reboot the system and start over.
I've had that happen. Makes me want to throw my PC across the room.
The other thing about cooperative multitasking is that it can be slow. If you try doing two things at once, let's say printing and formatting a disk at the same time, it may take forever, or it may not be possible at all. The computer is switching back and forth between each process, but under the app's control, not the system's control. So each process may be twice as slow as it should be.
So that's why my system seems to sometimes bog down, huh?
It could be the app, but true preemptive multitasking is something Windows just can't do.
Why is that?
Well, with the preemptive multitasking you get with OS 2 version 2, the system controls and optimizes how apps get use of the system resources. And with the multi-threading capability, you can be running multiple operations within the same app at the same time.
So I should get better performance with my current Windows apps using OS 2. That would be great.
There's so many extra benefits by adding OS 2 version 2. The ease of use, the compatibility, the high performance, the reliability, and the increased productivity.
Yeah, I guess you're right. There are a lot of extras.
And I've only scratched the surface. You can run OS 2 on a local area network. You can share graphics and files with other people in the office over the LAN, or you can access their work in progress and approve or modify it before they waste time on something you don't really want.
That would be interesting.
I know you don't have a LAN now, but in looking at your business, I believe it's the next logical step for the growth of your organization. I have another customer that's currently using some really fantastic OS 2 apps. If you installed an OS 2 LAN server and some OS 2 systems on the LAN, you'd have access to all the OS 2, DOS, and Windows apps you'll ever need for your business. You could select the app that most closely meets your requirements without worrying about which operating environment it uses. And until the time we get all your systems installed with OS 2, your DOS and Windows workstations will be fully supported on the LAN.
That might be worth thinking about.
OS 2 version 2 also has a high-performance file system that'll give you access to more storage capacity. And I'm talking tens of thousands of megabytes. And that's something anyone using a lot of graphics can use.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Why don't you get me OS 2 to try it on my PC? I'll play around with it, see if I really like it. And if it works as well as you say it does, well, I'll go ahead and upgrade my entire creative services department. And then maybe we can talk about that LAN.
I'll enter your order right now. And I'll have your package sent over the first thing in the morning along with some OS 2 32-bit demo apps. Try them out and let me know what you think.
Okay.
Even though Alan's OS 2 sale may seem like a small one, it's the beginning of a new sales opportunity for Alan. He's uncovered a variety of customer needs for which he can provide solutions. Now take a moment and pause the tape. In your workbook, you'll find more valuable information, including an OS 2 versus Windows quick reference chart. this course, we've taken a look at the variety of OS2 version 2 features and seen how these features meet the needs of specific types of customers. First, we saw how easy OS2 is to use and how the object-oriented desktop allows you to work the way you want to work. We then examined OS2's compatibility feature and saw how it runs most DOS, Windows, and OS2 applications as is. We discussed how OS2 version 2 is a high-performance operating system. We learned about the enhanced responsiveness, speed, and performance of 32-bit applications over 16-bit applications. We also saw how efficiently OS2 manages memory. We discussed why OS2 version 2 is a more reliable operating system and saw how to protect applications from each other in the event of application crashes. We saw how OS2 version 2 can make your customers more productive by using features such as dynamic data exchange, multitasking, and the high-performance file system. We also looked at how to address the specific needs and concerns of a variety of potential OS2 customers. We watched Alan as he worked with a small business customer and saw him use OS2 as a tool to help him sell a local area network. And we saw Rob demonstrate and explain the features of OS2 version 2 that appeal to DOS users. Finally, we examined the needs and concerns of Windows users, that challenging group of customers for whom OS2 version 2 is an excellent alternative that promises many additional benefits. OS2 is a tremendous success. It is a great product that meets the needs of all kinds of users. OS2 enables the end user to get the very most out of their computer, their applications, and their operating system. It's up to you, however, to let your customers know what great benefits OS2 has to offer. I think you'll agree. IBM's OS2 version 2 is the operating system for today and tomorrow. Good luck and good selling. The challenge is yours.